Hey guys, welcome to Project Mal Music's YouTube channel with your host Elion, and we are here with the brilliant Leonardo from the band The Exceptional Mr. Hyde. So, Leonardo, could you introduce yourself and what you do within the band?
Hi, Al. Good evening, everyone. How's it going? Yeah, I'm a guitarist in The Exceptional Mr. Hyde. I'd maybe call myself a lead guitarist. Just recently joined the band about a month ago. We've done 2 gigs so far with them. Just enjoying my time so far. Just going to run through a few of the equipment I use tonight and get the sounds that you're going to hear on the upcoming record.
Cool. Yeah, so let's dive into some questions. The first question is, what type of guitars do you use?
Well, I can show you that. I'm using a Stratocaster type guitar. You can see that. It's a new company called Jet Guitars. I think they only came out last year. I was in the market for a Sunburst Strat, which you can see just behind me there. It's the same guitar. Just pretty cheap, affordable Strat type guitar. Just thought I'd give it a go. What have you got to lose? Ordered it online. Obviously, couldn't try it out in the shop or anything, so I wasn't sure what I was going to get. Just really happy with the feel of it. So I ordered another one almost straight away, vintage white. Yeah, I'm a fan of humbucker in the bridge position and 2 single coils. That's usually what I prefer to play. Just having the tremolo as well, it's just pretty nice. Yeah, these are just the stock pickups, ceramic type pickups. When I ordered the Sunburst Strat, I did order some upgraded pickups at the same time, which I was going to change out. So I expected the stock ones to be a bit rubbish, really, but I've been playing them live and in rehearsals. I've had some good comments about my sound, so just decided to keep those in. Yeah, that's the Jet Guitars. You know, check them out, and or don't check them out. I don't want the price to increase on them if they get popular. Yeah, I'm using Fender strings, 10s, 10 to 52s, 54s, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't done any modifications to it other than a basic sort of setup. That's the guitar. Yeah.
Cool. It's mentioned about pickups. What sort of pickups do you generally use in your guitars?
I've been playing a number of years. I've always used Alnico 5 type pickups, passive pickups. They have a nice warm sound. They're not too harsh. Bit of a middle safe ground, and I mean I'm not biased towards any sort of manufacturer or anything, but just whatever comes with the guitar usually. I put Seymour Duncans in a few, Wilkinson, stuff like that. You know, when you're buying a cheapish guitar, you don't really want to spend more on the pickup than you did on the guitar, but yeah, probably Alnico 5s, and like I say, I've just moved to these Jets, and they're pretty much, I think all of their models have ceramic pickups in. I wasn't sure at first, but I think I'm coming around to the sound of it now. They seem to cut through a lot better in the mix, especially live. So yeah, I think I'm a ceramic man at the moment.
Yeah, cool. So, what type of strings do you normally go for when you sort of like want to replace the strings?
Pretty much, I basically use these Fender strings, which are 10s. can't remember the top side, but yeah, but any size 10s. Sometimes I'll use any balls, stuff like that. But usually when I get a guitar, I'll strip the strings straight off and put a set of 10s on. I have experimented with 11s as well. Got a jazz master behind me there, which is running 11s at the moment. But I don't like them too slinky. I like a bit of resistance from my bends and stuff. So I think 10s suit me best. So I tend to stick with 10s. Yeah.
Cool. So, what type of amp and cabinet do you use when you're either you are in say the rehearsal room or in the studio or in the or playing live?
I'm a big fan of combi amps, to be honest with you, El. 212 cabinets, combi amps, all in one. Stuff like Fender Twins, stuff like that. I've recently bought a Carlsbro amp, which is from the 70s, which I'll show you in a minute. It's a vintage sort of solid state amp, but again, it's the 212 stock format. But yeah, I use the same sort of combo amps for live and recording and practice really. They're a bit heavy, the ones I use, to cat about, but yeah, I get a good sound, and it saves carrying a 4x12 around. I don't think these days the clubs are playing and have great PA systems, as you've probably heard. There's really no need to carry a Marshall stack around with you nowadays, but I guess some bands still do it. When we get a roadie to carry it all, maybe I will.
Yeah. Do you prefer sort of like the valve amp type of amp, or like sort of more digital side of things?
Yeah, I'm definitely a solid state digital guy. That's mainly due to my large pedal board, which you'll see in a bit. I just find it. I just like a loud, clean sound from the amp. Basically, all my overdrive signals are coming from the pedals, so I don't really use the amps for any distortion or overdrive. So yeah, any sort of large headroom clean amp, typically solid state. But I mean, yeah, some of the Fender Twins, obviously valves, they have a high headroom, so they can be used as well. I tend to run my effects straight into the front of the amp rather than effects loops. In fact, I don't think my current amp has an effects loop. So yeah, solid state, I would say. Yeah.
Cool. So let's get on to what type of pedals do you use? Have you got any preferences?
Not particularly. I'm on a bit of a pedal journey at the moment, just trying out different brands, and we're quite an experimental band, so I don't think there's any limits as to what sounds I can and can't produce. But yeah, I can. Yeah, I've got. Well, we've got 16 pedals on my board at the moment, so it's fairly large, but no sort of preferences to manufacturers or type. It's just anything goes. I think if it sounds good in my rig, I'll keep it. If it don't agree with everything else, I'll sell it on and get something else.
Yeah. Could we have a look at the pedal board so people can have a look what you got?
Just grab the camera there. All right, can we see that?
Oh, cool.
I'll let you take that in for a moment. I'll zoom in a moment.
That looks.
There's a few on there, isn't there?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that. I do like that. Ooh.
I'll start you at the beginning of the chain there, El, if you want, and run you through.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. first in the chain is this Crybaby Wah. That's my custom stickers on there. Don't look like anyone else's Wah, but I got it used quite a few years ago, pretty cheap. So I do buy a lot of pedals second hand and on Facebook and stuff like that, just to obviously save a bit of money and just try stuff out, you know. So yeah, it goes from the Crybaby Wah into the Digitech Whammy pedal, which is a pitch shifter pedal. If you don't know, you can change the tuning of your guitars, obviously do harmony and stuff like that with it, which we'll demo in a bit. Really can get quite crazy, but it's good for experimenting. From there, I'm going into the tuner, which is normally people's first pedal in line, but for my board it's third in line for some reason. Everyone needs a tuner. Then I've got the Wampler Tumnus, which is a bit of a clon style pedal. Again, I picked this one up second hand recently. I've not really used it much, so it's not currently used at the moment, but I'm sure I'll find a use for it. It's just a kind of always on sort of light overdrive sort of sound. Then I'm on to the Boss CS2 Distortion, which is probably one of my main pedals with Mr. Hyde. It's been quite a heavy band, a lot of the guitars are distorted, etc. So that one gets quite a bit of use. Then I've got a boost pedal, TC Electronic Spark, which does what it does, it just boosts the volume for stuff like solos and lead guitar parts when needed. Yeah, there's a bit of a space there, so like I say, I do change stuff out now and again, so I may mess around with the order and stuff on the bottom row there. But then we're on to the, what have we got next? The TC Electronic Flanger, purple one there. Again, that's a modulation effect, if you know what a flanger is. Also the tremolo next to it. Everyone loves a bit of tremolo. I've put this one on the end of my board because it's got the nice big knobs and I can adjust that with my foot while playing live, the speed of the trem. So I can get a bit more experimental with that. It then goes back up to here, which is my MXR Phase 90 pedal, which is another modulation phaser pedal. One big knob you can adjust with your foot. Yeah, great pedal, that one. I bought it used a couple of years ago. It's never left the board since. Probably one of my most used pedals. Then we've got the Electro Harmonix Canyon, which is digital delay. It's got about 11 delay types on there. Shimmers, reverse delay, all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff that it can do. Then I've got a Donna delay after that. Again, it's just a cheap analog tape type delay. I think I bought it for about 20 quid on Amazon. Really cheap, but really good sounding. So it stayed on pretty much all my boards over the last few years. And then from that we go to the final pedal, which is the top one there, the Plethora X5, which is TC Electronic again. And this is basically a digital version of all their individual pedals. It's a multi-effect in effect, but you can select what you want. So you can have 5 slots, you can have 2 delays, 2 reverbs, 3 reverbs, 4 delays, 2 choruses, whatever you want. You just sort of program that. You can see that, but yeah, at the minute I've got it set with a chorus, a delay, a tremolo, and a couple of reverbs. But you can connect this up to your PC and create like your own, they call it tone prints, so your own effects basically. Depends how much time you've got on your hand. And it's a bit of a space saver, I suppose. If you wanted a small board and 5 pedals, you could in effect just take this, maybe one overdrive pedal before it and a tuner maybe, and then you're good to go. But yeah, it's a fun pedal. I'm still experimenting with it, and yeah, it just fit in that nice big space at the top there. So that's the board. Yeah, it's
Cool.
it's made out of a pallet as well, as you maybe can see. I don't know. People often comment on that. It's a bit big and heavy. You get a few comments carrying it into gigs, as you can imagine. Other bands see it and yeah, they want to know about it. So there you go. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that the top one, the digital one, you can plug it into your PC. Does that come with like a full-on program that you can actually adjust?
Yeah,
Adjust the yeah.
yeah. Sorry, it comes with. You can download the TC Electronic. They call it the Tone Studio, I believe. I think that's correct. But yeah, it's all free and included software, and you can just, let's say you've got a delay, for example, you can adjust the parameters. Obviously, you can do it on the pedal itself, but you can deep dive on the PC. So you could maybe have the delays affected with some form of modulation, like a chorus or a flanger, or you could make it 100% wet or a reverse. You know, you can. There's a lot of YouTube videos on it by another author, and it's just a really deep dive sort of pedal. You can probably make it do what most of the pedals can do. It's just having the time. I'm more of a set it and forget it type guy. So I think the sounds all the sounds I'm using on that pedal are just the default settings. But there's paired effect. I think there's 75 different tone prints in the pedal already. So you've got quite a large selection, 75 times 5, if you like, there, of different setups. So there's plenty to be getting on with, put it that way. But you can spend more time fiddling with effects than you can playing music, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got sort of like a comment from one of my moderators. He said from Sebastian. He says, "Wow, that is awesome. I do like the gear. Thanks for explaining. Thanks for explaining it. God, I can't talk today. Thanks for explaining it."
Yeah, not a
So
problem,
yeah,
Sebastian. Yeah. Any more questions, just ask now and we'll go through it. But yeah, it's pretty. It's not too complicated. There's just a lot of it, I guess. I'll just show you. Do you want to see the amplifier while I've got the camera in my hand at the moment?
yeah. I was going to ask about how does the sound from from the soundboard transfer over to your amp and cabinet.
Yeah, basically it's just a 1/4-inch cable. The back of the plethora there, we can have a stereo output. If I wanted to run 2 cabinets, two amps, I can do that. I've got that option. So far at the moment, I'm just running everything in mono. So basically the guitar comes in at yon end in the wah pedal, like we said, and then we've got this cable here, which is just the mono out, and that's straight into the amp, which is behind me. If you can see that, that's my 212 Carlsbro Stingray amp, which was made in 1977, I believe. So a pretty vintage amp. Yeah, I got it used not so long back at a good price. We get a few comments on its sound and looks. What do we got? We've got 2 channels. It has an inbuilt sustain / fuzz type circuit, which I'm not using at the moment. I'm just using channel 2, which is a straight clean channel. I think it's 100 watts. Again, 212 12-inch speakers. Really nice vintage sound, and I'm just going straight into the front. No effects loop from my main board there.
Yeah,
I can
cool.
demo you some sound.
Yeah. Cool. I've got a couple of comments from Nick Parker.
Oh yeah.
He says the first one is about your soundboard. He says, "Do you worry about woodworm?"
I don't worry about woodworm. I do worry about my cat because she seems to use it as a scratching post on the back of it. Yeah. But no, that's Nick, our bass player there. Yeah, chipping in. How's it going, Nick? Yeah, you enjoying the show so far?
And he also says, "Cool amp."
Yeah, yeah. It's I had a Fender Twin, like I say, and I was running that for a couple of years. I had it at a gig, and it just started playing up really. A lot of crackling and stuff like that. I've still got the amp now. I'm looking at it now, but I've not actually had time to fix it. And I had a gig the next weekend, so I ended up just going on Marketplace, Facebook again, and this amp came up at a good price. Went to have a look, and I thought, yeah, we'll give it a go, see if we get me through the gig. Basically, yeah, I've had good comments about it sounding better than the Fender. Obviously, it looks pretty cool, but a bit different. It's not a common amplifier these days. There's not too many of them around. So yeah, it's been my number one amp since that day, really.
Cool, cool. Now, from what I understand, that the band doesn't have a drummer. So, could you tell us a little bit how you have like a sort of like a drums whilst playing live?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, when I joined the band the other month there, yeah, it's the best band I've played in that hasn't had a drummer in. So it was a bit of a strange experience at first. Yeah, the drums are basically sampled and programmed in by Phil. You'll have to ask him. I don't know if is he in the chat. He'll maybe tell you what software he uses. But when we play live, it's basically a backing track from our other guitarist and wizardry Cal, which goes straight to the PA, to the desk in the club. And there's some drums and maybe a couple of synths on that backing track. We just play along live to that.
Yeah, cool. Nick says it's greatly enjoying it. It's not helping with my pedal envy.
Yeah, so Nick's our bass player, but he also has a multi-effects pedal board as well. So as I say, we're a bit experimental. So the bass, some of the songs, the bass has quite a few effects on as well, which is obviously a lot of fun for Nick and the rest of us. But yeah, and also Phil, the singer and guitarist, he has a multi-effects pedal board, and Carl also, the other guitarist, has a pedal board as well with another 10 or so effects on. So we're a very pedal heavy band, which is a lot of fun, and we get some interesting sounds. But yeah, there maybe is an element of competition there.
What type of sort of like if you know what type of microphones do you use? Whether do you know what Phil's using as a microphone, or do you use a microphone for yourself to do backing vocals?
Yeah, just backing vocals, just the standard sort of SM57. No, sorry, SM58. And I've got a 50 directional microphone, the 57 for my amp as well. I'm not. Phil did send me a list, but I've not got it to hand as to what microphone he sings the main vocals on. But yeah, for me, just backing vocals, just your standard sort of show no frills microphone, and then a directional mic for my amp, because there's no DI out from my rig. It's quite analog once it gets back to the amp, so it's always mic'd up. Tend to just mic up one speaker live. When we record tomorrow, I may mic up both speakers with different microphones to get a bit of a mix. I think Phil also has a couple of vocal pedals as well, which he steps on during the performance to add a bit of reverb and tone correct, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Nick and Phil's actually in the chat now. He says he's been watching, and he says only just got the chat working. And Nick and Phil said it's the SM58. SM58 microphone.
Yeah, so the same as what I would use for live use.
Yeah. So when you sort of like go into the studio, when you're doing like sort of like tracking the guitars or the vocals or whatever it is, like let's start with the guitars. What type of guitar would you use when you go into the studio to record?
I do the same guitar I use live, to be honest. My guitars, just the one I showed you earlier. I try and keep my studio setup the same as my live setup. So basically, when you do come and see us play live, the sound will be just like the record or as close as. But yeah, as far as guitars, I probably use just Strat type guitars, my Jets. I might use a Les Paul on the odd solo, or sometimes might even throw a Telecaster in there just to get a bit of a balance. But mainly it's the HSS Strat, which will be in the studio with me tomorrow. We're recording tomorrow for the debut album, so that's majority of the tracks will be on that guitar.
Yeah, cool. Got a question from Nick, and he asks, "What's the guitar behind your head, Lee?"
That one there.
Yeah.
So this one here is a 1959 Les Paul, priceless. It doesn't leave the house much, that one. There's only so many in production, in circulation. I think Slash has one. I've got the other one. Very nice sunburst finish on that one. Maybe I'll use that in the studio, but probably not live. Picked it up 5 years ago. It's a good guitar, classic, obviously. But what else have we got? And then I just said earlier, I've got just picked up a Jazzmaster, start to play around with. I've not got it set up for how I like it at the moment, so on the wall with it. It's quite a bright guitar, very different to my Strat type sounds. But yeah, I'm a big sort of fan of alternate rock bands such as Sonic Youth and stuff like that. A lot of shoegaze type bands use obviously Jazzmasters, make a lot of noise, and just cool looking guitar. Thought I'd pick one up and have a play. But so far, it's not had any use live or in the studio.
Yeah, cool. We got a question. Uh, this is from the exceptional Mr. Hyde. He said, question for Lee from Deb, Phil's wife. Have you
Right.
ever had an electric shock up your leg from your pedal?
I've never had an electric shock up my leg or any other body part from my pedal. No, no. I mean, they're low voltage pedals, 9 volts. So even if I got a bit of a tingle, I don't think I'd feel it too much, Debs. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, so when you sort of like put everything together of your rig, what type of sort of like leads do you use?
What leads do I use? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what do I use? So, just your standard sort of Fender 1/4 inch cables. I like a long lead, so about 5-6 meters, just so I can move about the stage if there's a bit of if there is a bit of space, that is. But yeah, just your standard Fender sort of leads. Yeah, nothing too pricey. Again, just off the shelf sort of leads. And obviously they do get damaged sometimes. They get beer spilt on them. They get stood on. And the Fender ones seem to last a bit longer than your cheap £5 ones off eBay, if you like. But yeah, just standard Fender. Yeah.
Cool. If you got any more questions for Leonardo, ask away. This is probably going to be my sort of like I've got a couple of more questions to ask, but this is probably going to be one of my last questions. So, is there any advice that you can give to someone who is looking to come see a guitarist for like the basic setup? They can pick up and say, right, I want to become a musician. I want to become a guitarist. What is the entry level type of setup I can actually get?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of choice these days, and a lot of the cheaper guitars are of good quality now, where they weren't back in the day. But yeah, just I'd highly recommend Jet guitars. I think they're about £160 for something like this. They're pretty much set up out of the box, so if you're a beginner, you're not going to know a lot about setting up guitars, so you want something that's going to work from the off. There's other brands like Harley Benton out there, Squire, etc. But you can pick up a good guitar these days for 150 to £200 sort of bracket. So if you're just taking up the guitar, I'd recommend something like that. And yeah, as amp and effects wise, there's a lot of digital stuff out there now with amps with effects built in, such as your Boss Katana, some of your Fender amps. If you just obviously you're just going to be playing at home, I mean, so they do bigger versions where you can rehearse with a band and a drummer and stuff. But yeah, I'd probably say that a Jet guitar Strata type, and maybe a combi amp with effects built in. Yeah, don't go down the route I've gone down of buying pedals, because it's a bottomless pit, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So yeah. Right. I got a question from Nick. He asks, "What was your first guitar?"
My first guitar, I've got it right here. 1 second. This is my first guitar, which is a Yamaha Pacifica. As you'll notice, it's very similar to my current guitar in that it's a HSS sort of pickup setup and a Strat type again. Yeah, I think I bought this guitar in the mid-90s. Again, that was just a guitar. Someone wanted to pick up, try out guitar. Mid sort of range price. I like the way it looked, all natural woods, rosewood fingerboard. Yamaha's obviously a quality make. Yeah, that's my first guitar. I've still got it. I still play it live on occasion, and it works. There's nothing gone faulty on it. Yeah, it's probably one of my favourites. But yeah, that's my first guitar.
Cool.
I'll bring it on Sunday.
So yeah, cool. This is probably going to be my last question. For people who are watching and don't know who the band is, where can people find you on social media so they can check you out?
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We've also got a website, I believe, which you can find information and links to our songs on YouTube. We're also on YouTube. So yeah, just type in the Exceptional Mr. Hyde onto your social media, and our page should come up. You find out more about the members, and there's some links to, like I say, to Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, with a couple of our singles that we've released, and our EP as well. Love, Blood and Greed 3-track EP is out now. And like I say, we're hoping to have a full-length album possibly out around early May, mid-May, depending on how mixing goes and recording tomorrow. If I can get my act together, yeah, that should be out in May. Yeah, we're on all the social media sites, so just type us in, The Exceptional Mr. Hyde, and I'm sure Elle will put some links up as well for you on this video that you can follow.
Yeah. We've got a question from Phil. He asks, Brian May has played his guitar with sixpence to achieve a certain sound. Have you ever tried this?
Sorry, repeat that one, Elle. Played his guitar with what?
Yep. A sixpence, like old coin from the 1960s.
Sorry, Brian May, yeah.
To actually play a certain sound.
Believe it or not, I do have a sixpence somewhere, but yeah, there we go. Haha, a sixpence, yeah. No, I was a big Brian May fan, nice guy, great guitar tone. So yeah, I did try and copy his sixpence routine, but it's quite difficult. It's not for me, I don't think. But yeah, no, as far as playing the guitar, I've only used different picks, plastic picks really. I've not used any coins or anything. I tend to use Dunlop 60 mils, which is my current favourite, the orange one. I've tried playing it with a drumstick, which is what Sonic Youth do sometimes. And I'm tempted to try it with a violin bow at one point, but I've not got there yet. Maybe tomorrow in the studio we can experiment with some of Phil's household objects, you know. Wouldn't it sound good?
Yeah. Right. Nick has said if anybody's in and around Leeds in Yorkshire, Phil says next gig for Mr. Hyde is 13th of May at the Lending Rooms in Leeds, supporting Ghost Dance.
Yeah,
so
that's
right. If you're in Leeds on the Yeah, and let me see. Phil has asked, "Do you play with the Queen's head up or down?" Or he says, "Haha, just kidding."
Yeah, I always play with the Queen's head facing away from me, Phil. I find it puts me off otherwise. I feel a bit on the spot if she's looking directly at me. But yeah, the sixpence. For the Brian May tone, this is what you need.
So anyway, let's sort of like wrap this up. Unless anybody's got any questions, ask Wayne now. As we are just about to wrap up. So Leonardo, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It has been an absolute pleasure and educational. What your how your setup is actually uh, how you've got your setup. Where so thank you again for coming on and doing this. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us, El. I've enjoyed the chat. I've enjoyed talking through my pedals, answering some of the questions, and yeah, if you want to hear the sounds, come to a gig or download our album, our EP, and have a listen. And we'll see you at a show soon, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. If you like I said, if you're in Leeds and you want looking to see a live show, go to the lending rooms in Leeds to actually see the exceptional side. So yeah.